It's another AirPods video. 7 AirPods tips, guys. But we are starting with a bonus tip. Thank you for all the support on my AirPods Pro review. Super amazing. But I put a really good tip like at the end of that video for some reason. I didn't realize how good it was. And as you can see, the retention on this video was like really bad. So most of you didn't even see this tip. Here's a flashback bonus tip, how to put your AirPods Pro back in the case. I pull the right AirPod out first, I drop that in, that one's straightforward. It's more so dropping the left-hand AirPod into the left-hand spot that is the challenge. And what I noticed is if I take my AirPod out with my right hand and then reverse twist clockwise the case, it will align. So the case is facing opposite me and I can drop the left one in with my right hand. That is the only way that I've found to easily, reliably drop the AirPods Pros back into its case. Just for that, guys, subscribe to this channel. Now I've got 7 actual new tips that are very helpful. In the research, I either had tips that I found useful and I use, or tips that I found while researching this video that I didn't even know about. So I think in my review, I talked about the announce messages through Siri function. I forgot I had these in. In my last video, I talked about how much I love the announce messages functionality that comes with AirPods 2 and after that. Well, something that I found later on is that you can actually add a toggle to turn that feature on and off at a whim in your control center platter. Up until this point, I was basically using do not disturb to stop Siri from reading me messages when I wasn't in the mood, if I was like working out or if I was just busy or I need to focus and I want to be listening to music with my AirPods, but I don't want announced messages. I've since used this new feature, put it in my control center so I can turn off and on the announced messages easily. Tip number 2 is when a friend sends a large text block, which, you know, I have detailed conversations with my friends over text, and sometimes they send me some pretty long text blocks. Siri just says you have received a message from blah, 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 but Siri doesn't actually read those longer text messages. What I found super helpful is this tip where you can immediately after she says so-and-so has sent you a message, you can say read it to me, and if the text is long and she didn't read it initially, she will read the full text block at length to you. Come here, Quince, come say hi. Not having it, okay. She will read the full text block to you, but you have to say, read it to me immediately after. By the way, the first 2 tips that I just mentioned also work on AirPods Pro, AirPods 2, the Beats Solo Pro, and the Powerbeats Pro. So those are not exclusive tips. Tip number 3. How about like that? There we go. Tip number 3. I know a lot of people mentioned in my last video that they were also having problems with Hey Siri. I'm going to call it Hey Jerry for the purposes of this moment because I don't want to be setting off I have like 6 devices that will go off, and I'll probably set yours off too. Hey Jerry works really poorly on the AirPods Pro, and I do not know why. Still can't figure it out. However, I did try one thing and I think it's slightly improved. I went into my settings and I toggled Hey Jerry off and then toggled it back on, which prompted me to retrain Hey Jerry. And I thought, wouldn't it be brilliant if I used my AirPods Pro to actually do the training? But after some testing, I actually put my phone in one room with my AirPods Pro and went to a different room and tried to train the Hey Jerry. But it turns out there's some sort of override and it uses the mic in the phone no matter what, even if your AirPods are connected and in use. So I just retrained it again. And I do think I've noticed a slight improvement, even when there's like a little bit of weathering, so to speak, or like wind and stuff like that. It's like slightly better. I don't know if that's even a tip. That's tip number 3, but try it out. Let me know in the comments if you all see any type of improvement from doing this. It might be placebo. but I think it's a little bit better. You may have noticed when you put one AirPod in, the noise canceling does not engage until you put the second one in, and that's fine most of the time, but sometimes if you want to have a noise canceling phone call, but only with one AirPod, right now by default you can't do that, but I actually found that there is a way under accessibility to enable noise cancellation by default when there's just one AirPod in. So you can still get that sort of like moment, but with a single AirPod. And I just found out about this, so I haven't actually used it, but it seems really cool. I'm immediately turning it on and using that. I basically want noise canceling to always be on because it's so good and so awesome. Also, tip number 5, inside accessibility, you can also change the like the pinching sensor sensitivity. I'm gonna have to mess around with this, but I didn't even know you could adjust that. I haven't had many problems, but knowing that there's other options might actually make me want to try and see if I could make it a little bit better. Basically, if you're having trouble articulating the quick double press, for example, or triple, that was 4, the triple press, you can slow it down. So it's like, instead of like click, click to skip forward, it would be like click, click. This also applies to the press and hold duration too. So if you want to be able to flip between transparency mode and noise cancellation mode, you can actually shorten the press and hold, and it'll allow you to flip back and forth between those settings way faster. I am going to be enabling that. That's super helpful. Tip number 7 is a little bit of a deeper dive here, but when I use my AirPods for extended periods, I find the iPhone's Today view, there's a widget you can add that shows battery levels across the board, and when you're using AirPods, it shows you, when you're actually using the AirPods, it'll show you each earbud, the battery in each one and in the case. Little bit of a caveat here, because again, your boy is a power user. I use these on flights particularly, and I travel a lot for work, and there are times where I want to be watching YouTube because I fly JetBlue and I got that free Wi-Fi, and I want to be flipping back and forth between one AirPod to the other so I can continuously satisfy my YouTube addiction while charging the other AirPod, and I never have to lose that Jenna Marbles TikTok video entertainment. The problem is this little Today battery thing, when you're only charging one AirPod, it'll only show you the battery percentage of the one that you're using, and it doesn't show you the battery percentage of the one that's in the charger. T from the future here, and as you can see in the footage, while I was shooting this sort of B-roll footage, I kind of figured out that apparently you can see the battery level of the AirPod inside the charger while it's charging and you're alternating AirPods, because all you have to do is click this little wedge and you can expand the battery levels. So I discovered that while making this video, and I guess that just turned into another tip. You learn stuff every day, I guess. I don't know. Back to the video. That was tip number 6, by the way. Tip number 7. If you have misplaced your AirPods, which I never have, you know how they say you don't gotta get ready if you stay ready? That applies here. I always put my AirPods right back in their case. But if you are irresponsible and you misplace your AirPods, you can actually go into the Find My app, and you can send a notification to your AirPods if they are in Bluetooth range, and they will play a loud enough sound. Here, let me see if I can do it, just so you guys get an idea. It doesn't work if they're in the case, I guess. Oh my God, that's so faint. I guess it's not that bad. Here, if I put it right up on the mic, you can hear it, I'm sure. But, you know, it's not that bad. Anyway, we can stop that. Well, that's another video done. I've got more videos in production right now. I hope you all are enjoying the increase in production. I've been working really hard to make better, higher quality videos, starting from the writing all the way through to the editing and everything in between. So I'm enjoying the process and learning and getting better at this, hopefully. But again, I just wanted to thank everyone for the support. Since I started shooting this video, my AirPods Pro review has continued to get more views, even more so than in the edit of this video when I put the screenshot up. So I really am happy to hear and see that there's some sort of impact happening here. And from a community's perspective, leave me comments. I literally respond to like almost all of them, and I definitely read every single one of them. So it's easy enough for you to get in touch with me. I love getting video ideas from you all. So if you want more AirPods related stuff, more audio related stuff, or other products, I guess I'm getting into consumer products at this point. I'm not really sure. I'm just doing what I think is interesting. So subscribe to the channel if you want to watch stuff that I find interesting. And with that, we are going to wrap this one. Peace.